Yeah, good afternoon. It's a long time no see, huh? So today I'd like to give you an overview of primary actors in global health. So you will know that who are the major players currently in global health affairs. Okay? Some are persons, some are institutions, and after this, the learning objective of the day are too familiar with key players in the fields, and probably can also give you some insights or stimulus what you can do in the future if you are really interested in the global health goals. Okay. And the TAs told me that the internet is quite slow in our school, right? Because of this, a lot of people use this, huh? To occupy. But it's still very lousy. This NTU should not have this kind of service. Probably after this class, we have to write a letter to the president. Ask us for some refund or our tuition. And how many people we have now in the world? 7 billion, right? I remember when I first taught in this school, it was 6 billion. So in 20 years, we have 1 billion more populations. So the global health issues we're talking about is about 7 billion people living in this planet. And it cannot be done by an individual to save lives or improve life of 7 million people. Most of the time it takes an organization, sometimes big, sometimes small, some are rich, some mediocre, but yeah, you have to have an organization to do that. Okay? Some organizations are so-called governmental organizations, and we call it intergovernmental organization. That means it was formed by governments. And the superstructures of governments in the world now is called United Nations and UN. Anyone knows about United Nations here? There's political science? Raise your hands. No? We don't have anyone from the political science? Yes. What is UN? Where is UN from? No? Really? Social sciences. Bigger definition. Anyone tell me that what is UN, United Nations? Or history majors, can you tell people that what is UN about?
You mean the origin of UN, or?
Yeah, where it's from and why we have this idea of UN?
The idea of UN can date back to 1939 or 1940s when the Second World War begins and people are sick to another.
So you have to be accurate, because you're talking about Second World War, so it should not be 30, it's 40, right?
Yeah. Second World War begins in 1939 and ends in 1945.
Okay.
So the idea begins when the origin international organization, which is the nation alliances, couldn't have any function to stop the beginning of this war.
Okay.
So the people start to think, if we can end this war, then there should be another international organizations that have an actual power to stop any similar action.
Yeah.
And improve the quality of all human living beings.
Okay, thank you. Very good. So it's from war, from the Second World Wars, okay, and its goal is for peace. So people think of we can form a super governmental organization to ensure peace, and it is from war, Second World War. And for people like me, we like to say we are the post-war generations. And people like you, what do you say? Post-PC generation or post-Google generation? No, you are much older than post-Google, right? So war is the most important thing in the middle of the previous centuries. Then we think of this, it's for peace. And yes, for majority of time, over the past 60 years, relative peace. We don't have world war, we only have regional war. Okay, when they are consolidated, these organizations that to prevent war, United Nations, which include communist and democratic countries together. But there are still many activities that time that not about war. Some are about health, which is World Health Organizations. Okay? Some are about children, we call UNICEF. They are specialized functions. And some are about the laborers, we call International Laborers Organizations. So those somewhat independent organizations in the beginning was accumulated into United Nations. So they called UN organizations. So currently there's probably over 10 UN organizations. We call specialized organizations to deal with human affairs in a global scale. Okay? So apparently World Health is very important, and we will talk about World Health Organizations when we are going on our class today. But you know, intergovernmental organizations do have their limitations. When you talk about government, what image you get? What image you get? Yan Zhicheng, when we talk about government, what invoke you? What's your relationship with government?
Country?
Yeah. Your personal relationship with government. Where are you from?
From Panama.
So, government give you passport, right?
Sorry?
Panama give you a passport?
Yeah.
Yes, so government give you a passport, right? And how can you enter Taiwan?
For a visa?
Visa. So what it means? Passport and visa. They have authority, and they give you restriction, right? They give this visa to come to Taiwan for a certain period of time. So when we talk about government, it's always about authority, about restrictions, about rules. They give you a lot of rules, supposedly agreed by you, and you have to follow it. And who make the decision of what kind of rules? Some by small group of people, some through the democratic process. But anyway, it's about bureaucracy. A lot of bureaucracy. You know, when you want to have a stamp, and it takes days, weeks, right? Currently, when we, as a Taiwanese, want to go to the United States, it's painful. We have to go to the web and registers. And my assistant told me I'm currently applying a visa to U.S. I have to go to the website and one question, can you put down the date of your previous 5 visits to United States? How can I recall? So I have to go back to see my passport. And when did I go to United States? Okay? And they asked me about the names of my parents. I don't know. A people of age of over 50. I want to go to United States, I still have to fill in my parents' name. These are bureaucracy. So just one travel takes time, takes documents. So all this activity drag down the mobility. And you know, we are talking about health, saving people's life. Then government drag your feet, right? They try to slow you down. So what do you do? Forget about government. Let's form non-governmental organizations, NGOs, right? You don't have these red tapes. You don't have to follow the rules that you don't know who set up. So there's a region of NGO which is trying to counterbalance the inefficiency, ineffectiveness, and bureaucracy of international governmental organizations. Well, by what way? My money and my manpower. So rich people has always tried to do something good by the money they have. So later on, I will introduce you the rich money from 19th century, Rockefeller and Ford. Okay? The rich money in 20th century, Bill Gates. Yeah. They earn a lot of money, legally or illegally. Okay? So they put for the money for charity use. So they form a powerful organization just for health, just for development. Okay? So this is one kind of NGO. We don't have time to talk about another kind of NGO which combine money and people. Okay? Many people first, then money. What kind of NGOs are like this? Oh, you're from political science. How come when I ask you, function, right? What kind of organization with a lot of people first and doing good things? Like Red Cross or Tzu Chi? Yeah, you are Taiwanese. So you have know how many followers of Tzu Chi? You know, maybe 1 million. Right? And there's a very good international health organization in the world, Doctors Without Borders. Have you heard about that? So doctors form together, use their spare time to do things in combat zone, in disaster areas. So they go there first. And because the actions there have taken very good, so people with money but don't have time and are not brave enough to go to the disaster area, and they will come to say, well, you are doing the good things, and what can I do? And they say, we lack resource. And the kind of resource they lack is money. So they will donate their money. Okay? Some are religious. Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, they all have all kinds of religions. They have a belief first, and they have followers. And after day by days preachings or sitting together, listen to the masters or reading the good books, and they come out, this is something we have to do. Save these people who are living that conditions, doing something good in that corner of the world. So they form NGOs with religious attributes. Okay? So there's probably over 10,000 this kind of organization in the world. And we cannot cover all of them, but I will give you some examples, big organization, to show you how they are doing recently. Okay? So these are main actors in the global health. Some are global, some are regional, and some are nationals, and some are local. So anyone can form if you like it, and if you have followers, then you definitely can do something in the futures. So, Kai, are we ready for Bill Gates? So, in the history, we'll remember he's the one who not really invented but revolutionized computing. We call PC. Then what makes him rich? His software, right, has to be embedded in every PC we use, right? So every time you purchase one PC, you are paying Bill Gates. That's very clever. That's before this. I think no other product has this kind of benefit. Do we? No. Virtuous no. So this is, so he accumulates wealth in a very short time. Okay, and if you have chance of reading his autobiography, you know he is eager to produce the kind of product in his mind, and he quit Harvard, right? Because if he wastes 2 more times in universities, I think his opportunity is gone. So he also carries new ways of learning, that a lot of new IPOs, initials, public offerings company, especially technology company, a lot of clever guys, they are not going to complete their degree. They have to go to the business first. So this is what he did. So you will say he is quite capitalist. But all of a sudden he say, I want to step down and I want to do something good. And he decided to give up his money for the course he chose. And years later, when people ask him, he talked about the reason is when he was at Harvard, he bumped into an idea, a book, talk about population and population health. So he is thinking about population growth. At that time, we have a theory called Malthusian's theory, that population will grow exponentially, then the whole world will be overloaded, and the food is so scarce, so the whole universe, especially our planet Earth, will going to die because just too few foods for too many people. That is also the beginning of modern environmentalism. People care about environment now. That's because of this population growth. And he loved it. He really loved it, and that's come into his mind. So when he make a lot of money and he married his employer in Microsoft world, Melinda, right? So when they got married, Bill Gates' mother wrote a small note to the one to be wife of Gates, say, you two are lucky couple. You are inherited an extraordinary fortune that nobody in the world has the chance to have. So you too can do something it's not special that other people cannot do. So they keep in mind, and both of them are interested. health, development, and technology. So they together with their parents formed this. So at that time, he's the richest person in the world. Okay? And the second richest is Warren Buffett. So the first 2 years, they formed this charity fund. And Warren Buffett thinks, there's only one person in the world who makes more money than me. So if this guy decided not going to make more money and try to spend all the money in the rest of life, this man not only cleverer than me to make money, he must be cleverer than me to spend money. So Warren Buffett contribute to get 1/3 of the shareholders of this foundation. Say, I will give all my money to you under Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation to do good things. No Warren Buffett name. Even Warren Buffett's his own charity foundation is smaller than this. Okay, so until now, from your childhood, the majority of people in Taiwan, mostly in Taiwan, Taiwanese kids grew up to learn how to be successful and make money, right? But you have to start, how will you spend money? It's not easy to spend money sometimes. It's more difficult than earning money. So we will see a person with such wealth, the way he spend money. Okay, so this is Bill Gates Foundation, and they have 6 minutes, okay, to do the introduction. Polio occurs in these regions mostly between 1950 to 1970s, with peak around 1955 to 1965. And if you got it, that from the childhood, from the birth, then you know, it affects our feet, right? One time, sometimes one leg, the other one is another one, and they paralyze the legs because of this virus. And there's 2 vaccines. In the beginning is by injections, and later on we have by the oral intake. So even we have found these vaccines, but it still takes 30 years. We cannot eradicate it. So it's very, very challenging. And a guy like Bill Gates, he likes numbers, right? So he wants 0, and he wants 100%, because he likes his PC to be used, everyone. So his ideas, his ideology actually affects the actions, the topic he chose. And this is 2011 annual report, just published. So in documents also in this format. I think it's quite instructive. And so he gets some partners to finish the last miles for the goal. So ready for this? He got very good partners to help him to do the campaign. Yeah. So because of polio is affecting feet mostly, so the team up of the football team is very interesting intermarriage. So polio and smallpox. You know smallpox? Right? The kind of disease in all continents, and was introduced in a new world. Then killed millions of natives there and changed the history. And so it scares people. And the worldwide campaign eradicated in 1979. Right now, we still have some of this virus kept in certain labs in case in the futures there will be another outbreak. but since 1979 until now, almost 25 years, no more case. And polio, we don't know that when we can get it, but Bill Gates tried to eradicate by 2025. So 2025 probably, right? Could be if he does. So he will be written into history, not just for PC, Microsoft Word, and eradication of polio. So that's kind of work he's doing. Can we move on to other diseases this foundation is working on? Rotavirus. So smallpox is a kind of disease transmitted by person-to-person contact. So it's much easier if you reduce the contact frequency or distance of social distance, this kind of social isolations, and by good vaccinations, you can eradicate. But for polio and rotavirus, it's a disease transmitted by waters or by food. So by the way you eat, through the hands, you touch the food and other materials, and through this mouth, it's more difficult because we eat a lot. We eat frequently, and it's not easy to keep clean. So vaccination is one way, but there's a lot of leaks. So it makes the combat of these two problems more difficult. So what to do? If another way, if we can keep the environment cleaner, that could be one solution, because these kind of disease are from we call fecal transmissions. That means viruses are through the urination or through the waste you throw away, you generate. So if we can keep the environment, at least the living environments in your home and your neighborhoods cleaners, could be the solutions. So that's one way to do that. Environmental health, that's my major. Okay. So this coming summer, we are exploring possibility to do some of these kind of things in Malawi, in one of the countries, African countries doing this. So it's about global health. You can do some environmental health, just to give people have more cleaner environment to save lives. So that's just a glimpse of the foundation's doing, and you can check with the website to know more. But lastly, this Bill Gates really believes in science and technology. So he put up global challenges. Gates Foundations put up a grand challenges, 1, 2, 3 pages. You don't need to write big proposals if you have great ideas. And when they open, you just submit. And if you like, then you are accepted. Then they give you money. And technical innovations and to for global health of global development, food productions, etc. So if you like to do that, you can do that. We try, but we failed. So those people who have succeeded in getting these grants are actually genius. So you see they're from backgrounds of different backgrounds. Can you finish that? In the last part? No? No more. So in the end, actually, there's encouraging people say that someone like them, and you can do that. Okay. So unfortunately, I cannot do it. So this is the end of my introduction to Melinda and Bill Gates Foundations, and you can check out the website I give you in my PowerPoint, and you can learn more. So for the coming 20 years, anyone who are interested in global health, you cannot live, without knowing this Gates, the challenges, the way he spend money affects a lot of global health activities, global health curriculums like us. I gave these lectures. I need to talk about him because he's a real big player. You have no way of ignoring his contributions or his obstacles. Okay, so this is the first one. And remember, he talked about this eradication of polio. He mentioned WHO. He also mentioned Rotary Internationals. So sometimes in the Taipei, have anyone of you seen this bus advertisements by Rotary International talk about they are helping eradication of polio? So this one I talk about World Health Organization based in Geneva, Switzerland. Okay, that's Republic of China, Brazil, and the other two countries are founding members of World Health Organizations. So ROC is one of the founding members of WHO before United Nations was formed. So we are the original founders, but later on, after we was kicked out from UN and we are out of WHO. So in 1996, I paid my first visit to WHO, and until now, the front door of WHO still have the names of the WHO in Chinese, in traditional Chinese, 世界卫生组织. So it dates back long time, and it is an advocacy agency. They advocate health issues. The word advocate means they talk with limited actions, with limited resource, because the money for WHO are contributed by the member countries depending on your populations and economic status. Half of the world, the GDP is so bad they will not pay any fee. Okay, so their budget is, I think, is 100th or 1,000th of Bill Gates Foundation annually. So it's very little money to spend on real things, but they advocate because it's the world authority of health. So during the 2003 SARS epidemic, WHO played a very important role to coordinate getting the virus identified, warning people of epidemic areas of not traveling to that place, forbidding people traveling from the infected disease, banning some kind of trade, give out guidelines for medical doctors, nurses, and general public how to face a new emerging infectious disease. So WHO can use the experts network to do something good for world health. In the year of 2009, we got H1N1 epidemic worldwide. Another very important emergency diseases we call avian flu. That means influenzas from animals to people. So we got all our flus from 2-feet animals, okay, like us, like chickens, like ducks. But when those viruses transmitted from ducks or chicks to people, it's become very dangerous, kills people a lot. So 2009, that WHO early detect these problems with mathematical predictions and WHO predicts worldwide epidemic if we did not take actions. And the actions we did that time is to ask the whole world, take medication first. Because we don't have vaccines. Then later on we have vaccines and we ask people to be vaccinated. But later on people find out the prediction model of WHO is not so correct. So WHO got a lot of criticisms. And the reason for that is related back to the beginning of my talk. It's about the bureaucracy. It's because it's about governments. And the relation between governments has some power structures and power struggles. And you know, sometimes experts' opinions will be distorted in the meetings by the people who attended, by the under-table dealings. So they got a lot of criticisms. So WHO is supposedly to governments international affairs of combating disease of global importance. Okay. So they deal with infectious disease and they also deal with non-communicable diseases. So in the past 5 years, WHO has allowed a lot of awareness of the disease that is not transmittable by virus or bacteria. But it's kind of disease transmitted by lifestyles, diets, you know, all these kind of things. So are you ready to show some of the non-communicable diseases WHO is currently doing? Yeah, right. This is a kind of epidemic because the disease included in this is heart diseases, cancers, diabetes, all this related to lifestyle. So in the futures, the global health issues will also about non-communicable diseases. And obesity is kind of epidemic. People think fast food is responsible for, okay? Fast food and fast eating. The reason you need to have fast food is because you are doing a lot of fast eating. And the reason you need to do some fast eating is because the kind of urban lifestyles make you move faster. And you have more than 10 appointments per day. And you have to squeeze in your eating time. So, and you want to have a clean and edible food. And it comes this kind of chain stores. And chain stores provide you a fast food for your fast eating. So for non-communicable disease, one solution is not to eat fast food or not to do fast eating. So slow eating. And in order to have a slow eating, then you have to slow down your life pace. And how to slow down your life pace? And you have to change the urban environment, including your schools, your homes, and your transportations. And how to cure it? It takes more than vaccine, right? There's no vaccines for non-communicable diseases. People have worked very hard to come up with a cancer vaccine. No, none of them. Nothing successful until now. So you have to have a combination of different approaches to combat this. So it's more difficult, and it takes policy, it takes some political commitment, and it takes social infrastructure changes. So United Nations in the last November has a World Summit on non-communicable diseases, and worldwide the leaders of countries say they want to make commitment to slow down this epidemic. The number one killer will be obesity. So worldwide, people are measuring the shape of your body. Okay, that in the future, then we have to do that. And there are different kind of NGO organizations are working on this. Those NGOs organizations are about health behaviors, about this tobacco control, and about exercise, promoting exercise, this kind of NGOs. And if you want, and if you like this kind of activities, you can join these NGOs to do great things. One phenomenon in the world is bicycle tracks in the cities. So starting from Europe and now in North America, especially Canada, then Asian cities like Japan, cities in Japan and Taiwan are catching up, are building more and more bicycles tracks for people to use for daily commute. Even New York City, they are doing that. So the ideas behind that is you want to do more exercise and you want to have enough physical activity to cut down your weight. Okay? So the experience you have in NTU campus will be a kind of experience that could be used in the futures. The way you use bicycle, are they friendly? Are they good? What's the chance of your bicycles are stolen by this way? And it is a good way to park. The classroom we are using now, when we planned it, we intentionally to build bicycles parking lots, right? Inside this, to encourage students to use. So all this are about health, and this is a worldwide disease of these NCDs. Okay, cancers. We still don't know much about cancers. Biologically, sometimes we know this and that genetically, but still, in the end, the environment plays a lot of roles of causing cancers. Air pollution from industries, from cars. And how to solve it? Like cars emitted a lot of carcinogens, especially diesel cars, diesel bus. So what kind of policy we can have?
Tax.
Tax?
Increase the price of buying some cars or some types of cars.
So discourage car using, right? Or transform car to emit less carcinogens. That's one way. You know what kind of cars has few smallest emissions of carcinogens? Apparently, electric car, right? Electric car. How about natural gas? Okay, then gasoline, then diesel. So just one city decided to have a natural gas bus, 100%, and did it. You know that? Seoul, South Korea. And about 10 years ago, I tried very hard to persuade Taipei City, and I failed. Until now, there's no more than 50 natural gas bus in Taipei. So when you are waiting on the bus-only lanes and waiting there, and you saw a lot of diesel emissions and gasoline emissions with black smoke, right? That's dangerous. So if we, as a citizen in Taipei, like to have the bus-only lanes, it's better to combine with natural gas vehicles. That will make your waiting time on the bus stops more pleasant and more healthy. So try sometime in Seoul. Every bus pass by, you don't see any color of emissions because they are all natural gas. Remember, Seoul is much bigger than Taipei, and they have no problems of the range of the bus. Okay, so, and the reason Seoul tried to convert it, you know why? What the reason? They have these decisions because of Olympic game. When you are bidding for Olympic game, you have to show people that athletes are not going to compete in the 30 cities. So they have to find a lot of ways to cut down. And they said, how about Beijing Olympic? We are friends from China. Where is it? Where are they from? Shandong. You know what has been changed in Beijing? What?
The cars are restricted to drive on the road, depending on the numbers of your car. For example, today is during the first, and then only the car with any number of 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 can drive on the road.
Yeah. Okay. So before Olympic game, there's a lot of electricity provided by coal power plant. Neighboring Beijing, especially in a Great Wall area, there's a big and also a very big steel company. So they decided to move it. There's only authoritarian countries can do that. Move it. Instruction say you have to move it and move it. So they cut down a lot of emissions. Then, before the Olympic game, Beijing used a lot of low-grade coal to do the heating. And the government said, no, no way. All have to be gone and replaced by natural gas. So they cut the majority of emissions. Then comes to cars. So during the Olympic game, they actually banned all private cars. Banned the use of all private cars. Only taxis and official cars. After Olympic game, they did the way is the odd number and even numbers. Yeah.
During the Olympic Games, half of the private cars are banned every day.
Yeah.
Depending on the number of your cars.
Odd and even numbers, right? Like Monday is odd number, and this kind of practice. So they succeeded for those few days. It's clear, very clear, that it's cleaner. But after the Olympic Games, still they enforce the policy, but the growth of cars is tremendous. So now the pollution coming back, and they are going to do the next phase policy, try to cut it down. The reason I am so familiar with this is I was almost involved in air pollution study on athletes in Beijing, because I completed a study in Taipei, and it was just published. And Americans were so worried about air pollution's effects on their athletes. So National Institute of Health sponsored a study in Beijing together with Beijing Environmental Agency and Beijing universities. And they are following Professor Chang's protocol to conduct the study. So they consulted me, and I asked the PI, principal investigator, to say, you had to put my name as advisors. And they said yes, they will go to their boss to ask permissions. And apparently, the answer is no. Yeah. They cannot allow the Taiwanese as advisors on this research. But all these researchers are very familiar with me, and we are still keeping good contact. And there are already about 10 papers talking about the air pollution control policy, reduce pollution levels in Beijing, and has lowered the health impacts to the residents of Beijing. Okay, so remember, we go back to check CNN that time. American athletes arrive in Beijing airport. When they step out of the airplane, they are wearing masks. They try to protect their land to win the gold. So they try to protect when they are outdoors. And the only day they will not wearing mask is the day they compete. Okay, so policy for the NCDs, you have to have policies. Very important governmental policies. International organization force the society to change. So if there's no Olympic Games held in Seoul or in Beijing, the air pollution cannot be cut down so earlier because there's no need. Sometimes local needs is not enough. International needs could mean some things. You know, I frequently got phone calls or interview from Hong Kong or Singapore asking me about air pollution in Taipei because some company want to send their employees to work in Taipei, and they heard about air pollution in Taipei, and they were phone me to ask advice. So one time I got a phone call from Hong Kong, and the person who were working in Hong Kong were quite worried about the children of her children that they have asthmatics. So they say the air pollution are killing their children, so they are quitting. Ask my advice and whether it's a good idea or not. And I checked the air pollution label they gave me. They say, yeah, it's better to go. So they asked the company to transfer to another locations. And which locations? Taipei. He checked. He asked me about this pollution label. Not good enough. So finally, she was transferred to Singapore. So air pollution can affect economic activities. Okay. So just give you examples. For NCD, it's not easy. Takes different kinds of combination of policies. Okay. So this is what WHO is doing, and I don't have time to do others like UNICEF. It's mainly about children and also education. World Bank, the combination of central banks in the world called World Bank. They are working together to work on sustainable development, caring about the forest in Amazon and caring about the oceans, caring about the rivers, because if you want to build dams, you have to have a lot of capital investments, and World Bank will loan you money, your company, your country, money. So they can influence a lot of health. And the next president of World Bank is the doctors. Okay, the one I show you in the first class, right? Dr. Kim, currently president of Dartmouth University, has become president of World Bank. So you will see World Bank in the future do a lot of global health and global developments with sustainability considerations. Okay, so and the other tools are Rockefeller's foundations, mainly about population, reproductive health. Ford foundations, I think, is about democracy. You know, about political involvement, administrative structures, all these kind of things. So these are very good, very important players, and in the future, if you like to work with them or work for them, there is all good organization you can do. So hopefully I give you some good introduction to the major players, actors of global health.